Hey, so I figured out something about art and creating stuff and drawing, okay? It's really interesting. But unless you've done it for a long time, you may not see the pattern that's involved with it. Because when you do something over and over and over again, you notice the same thing happening, right? Okay, so it's very weird, but once you know it, you could see it in other things besides art. And it'll help you actually interact and process different things more efficiently as well. Okay, so like when you actually begin drawing or creating art, you don't instantly are capable of translating what you see in your mind onto paper in just one moment, right? It takes a lot of different small steps, right? And it's very slow in the beginning, but once you're going, you've aligned a lot of details that allow you to kind of flow more quickly, okay? Now that may sound strange, but think about this. You can make comparisons to other things in life, like for example, going to the gym and exercising. They tell you to warm up or do stretches, right? There's a reason for that. If you don't, it's more likely that you'll injure yourself, okay? And they tell you to like work up towards a more intense activity. You can't just jump into it and start doing intense stuff, like all of a sudden picking up 100-pound weights or whatever, right? And you may not even be capable of doing that at first, right? So think about it. The same thing happens, the same thing that happens there also happens in your art, right? You got to start with simple stuff so that you can get things flowing, get things moving, build up momentum. Like with physics, large massive objects take a lot of energy and force just to start moving, but once they're moving, it takes a lot of energy to stop them from moving, okay? There's this momentum there that's present. Same thing with art, this momentum. Now, if you haven't done art for a while, maybe you've taken a break from it, you'll feel disconnected and kind of frozen because you haven't been moving. The process hasn't been going. You've been stationary and static, so you've become stuck. And so in the beginning, it feels like you're stuck. It feels like it's difficult to move because you haven't been doing it, right? It's so simple, the concept, but you don't realize it because you haven't noticed the pattern of this occurring over and over again whenever you stop creating artwork and whenever you begin. The more you go through this on-off cycle, the more you start noticing, hey, wait a minute, this has occurred before. It's not something that just occurred by chance. It's not something that happened one time. It's always there. It's always present in the process, okay? So let's explore it some more, right? So if you can make more comparisons to every single step in the process to other steps in other processes because they're all similar in nature, but you just see it in a different way, okay? So like for instance, you feel rigid, it's like ice, crystallized ice or crystallized fluids, and then in the presence of heat and warmth and energy, it begins to thaw and melt and become more fluid and more easier to move and flow and get shaped in different ways, okay? That is occurring when you start creating artwork. When you start imagining something, that's like the heat or influence from other things penetrating your mind, opening it up, causing it to expand, causing your mind to start moving and react, and then the energy kind of flows through you into your hands. You start drawing on what you see, okay? I'm kind of, making it sound cooler than it actually is, but it's something that occurs naturally that you may not be consciously aware of. You just feel like drawing, but you don't know why you feel like drawing or creating art. Okay, so you go through this process, and as you're doing it, you become more fluid. You become quicker at it because every movement that you make of your hand is basically the same movement, but just in a different direction or a different way or a different angle, different pressure or whatever. So the pattern or the design or the composition that you're making is an extension of all these small steps that are basically the same, but positioned and moved in slightly different ways, basically. And that could be based on the type of mind state that you're in, what experiences you've gone through, what's affecting you at that moment in time. And it kind of gets reflected in your work subconsciously. And you may not have realized that before, but when you start looking at your work and what you've created, it kind of is a reflection of what you've been doing in your life and your interests and that sort of thing. Okay, so, but that's a whole nother topic. What I want to focus on is actually going through and beginning doing art and how that may feel difficult to you if you haven't been doing it before, or if you've taken a break and stuff like that. Okay, you have to build up that energy and momentum. Okay, so knowing that, you could apply this to when you begin doing art. You just, without thinking, just go and draw a bunch of circles, draw a bunch of patterns, draw the same thing over and over again. They might tell you this, artists might tell you to do this anyways, maybe you've heard this before, but maybe they don't realize why they say it. They're just repeating what other people say or tell you to do, and you don't realize why you need to do it and that sort of thing. But you just draw the same thing over and over again, and basically you're getting this pattern or this motion stirred up and cycled so that it keeps turning and turning and turning, just like a wheel. A wheel turns and turns, does the same thing over and over again, but it allows you to actually move and forward in a straight line, basically, or curved or whatever. But so before you do anything, just draw the same thing over and over again. Or if you're not sure how to kind of take your drawing, just draw it without putting too much thought into it, and you'll realize if it's bothering you that you can't make any progress, that don't focus on the fact that it's taking you a while. Just focus on actually drawing, right, without any intention as to how it ends up, because how it ends up is it's always a reflection of what you've been doing before, right? So you can't really go wrong with it. You just actually have to do it, and in time the details align and create this composition that actually represents something interesting about yourself, basically, right? So that's why they tell you to draw stuff over and over again. It's not that you're learning how to draw, it's that it's forcing you to draw so that you're drawing, right? It's not that you can draw, anybody can draw, but all that it's doing is that it's making you draw, okay? And it's also interesting how you could see this pattern in other things, not just with art, but you see people like scientists and specialized lines of work categorizing things and putting stuff next to each other, the same things next to each other that are slightly different, and showing how there's a lineage or how things evolve over time, like the skeletal structure of humans. They put like a lineage of all the different skulls and bones and show how it changes over time, right? Like there's this obsession in people's minds regarding structure and the path of something, right? So that's also involved in artwork and drawing, that we're obsessed with this path, this structure, this development that the artist goes through, or the person goes through, or whatever goes through, the painting, the process of the painting, watch the process of other people creating something, so that we could see how things change or how things progress in a linear fashion, or parallel to something else. We're all obsessed with that because we like this efficiency or way of actually accomplishing something, right? So we want to see the goal, the end goal, and we want to get there basically to improve parts of our life that we feel are lacking, right? So I'm kind of getting off topic here or beginning to ramble, but there's so much involved that I want to tell you, and there's only so much time that you have patience that you're willing to listen or spend watching, right? So I gotta keep this brief, but maybe you'll keep watching my other videos as I create them. I don't know, but so subscribe, leave a like or comment or question if you want me to cover something else, right? And yeah, that's all for now. Start drawing, start creating art, start doing stuff. Repeat, repeat, repeat. Pattern, 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 pattern. Line, space, line, space, line, space. It's all the same. It's all different. Or something. Till next time.